This is Oscar Bevis for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. Fingers crossed for for no technical difficulties this time. You were in your stride then. I was enjoying that. But you're here now, Dave. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you as well again. Been a while.
Yeah, been 20 seconds. We opened up by talking about, and I wanted to get this on camera, how wicked your experience looked in Germany. So I'm gutted we kind of missed that bit. A selfie with Jude Bellingham, Kieran Trippier's match-worn shirt, banger.
My son got these. My son got these. Not me.
Right, yeah,
Yeah, I'm over the moon.
yeah.
I'm over the moon to have that experience for him. He's a mad football nut. I'm a mad football nut. And massive thanks to Kieran Trippier for sorting it out for us. It was a real looked after out there. And for Theo to, you know what, as a dad, when you see your kid's face, he's lucky and he is very, very grateful for the people he's come across in his life, influence he's got in his life, and the experience he has in his life, But I've never seen him as starstruck as that in my life. Oh my God, he was. I can't explain the face. And when you see your kid's face like that and just lost for words and just so, happy and emotional about, with how happy he is, he really looks up to footballers. He looks up to anybody who is success, But Jude Bellingham's like one of his heroes right now at the moment. He plays in midfield as well. And that's why Theo looks up to him as well. And Tripp's always been always messages about Theo and just how he speaks about him and giving him advice through messages to me and it's nice. And so people like that to then meet him and then for him to give him his shirt, his match shirt is just brilliant. But just being there amongst it all was outstanding. It was a great experience for him. And little things like that. All I remember, as we've always said, Brendan always said in boxing terms, young fighters go along to big shows, go along to experience the big fights. Imagine that's you that's there, and you're coming across your heroes and things like that. That if you ask any fighter, that does something there, and they grow up in that sort of manner and start recalling those memories, childhood memories, as they progress through their own career. It's going to be the same in football. That's what he chooses to do. It's like any of our young prospects or kids that are in amateur boxing now. They're going along, they're meeting the heroes, meeting their idols. Then you fast forward and you see them with a picture when they was kids, and now they're champions and things like that. That's the kind of thing that can happen in any sport, and that's what Theo got to experience the other day. On a grand scale, on a massive scale, and I'm all the moon for him. But like I said, it's the same as what I said to young fighters: get to the shows, get around to successful fighters, get around the successful people in the sport, and you pick up little things along the way.
Mate, I can see it. Me and the boys at the World Cup 2030 asking Theo for selfies.
Yeah, well, that's his dream, and I said to any kid, at the end of the day, somebody's got to achieve the dream. Somebody's got to end up being there. Somebody's going to be in that team. So if you're willing to work hard, why not? It's the same thing as look at the odds for the amount of boxers that we have that you would say did nothing in the amateurs, did nothing, coming through, and they weren't that fighter that everybody was looking out for, but the world champions. They've won Europeans, British, and sport is incredible. It doesn't matter what sport it is. If you've got the work ethic and the attitude, and a little bit of luck along the way as well, you can achieve your dreams and your passions. So I say to any kid, don't ever let anybody rip you down, tell you you can't do it. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you're living in dreamland. Good, live in dreamland. Too many people leave dreamland too early and then go into a dead end job that they're not happy with. You don't keep pursuing, and you've got to give it all. Whether it's boxing, football, tennis, or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, 100%. And one of them fighters you mentioned in terms of not being someone coming out of the amateurs that everyone was raving about, but is now getting a chunk of success is Tyler Denny, who we will come on to. But before Saturday night, Friday night, and a really, really good night for you.
Yeah, last week, Dan Howard and Ellis Price. 2 out of 2, 10 out of 10 performances for me. Ellis Price making his debut. A lot of pressure on the kid, but he's something that I've been saying, all along. I'm so excited for this kid's career. He's different to Hopi, different style, different personality. That's why he got a nickname, the Wild Child. Middle kid syndrome, they say. But he's outstanding, and he's transitioned into the professional game. He's inside fighting, his distance, he's just such a good fighter. I've had him sparring with some very good, experienced professionals for the last year or so, including Joe Cody, and getting some valuable rounds with him, really high quality learning rounds with Joe. And he's been developing all along, and it's something I'm really, really excited about. It's going to be a very, very good fight. Barry Jones commentated on it, and he's seen a lot of fighters, a lot of debuts, and he says that debut was right up there with the best that he's witnessed. It was fantastic, and now he's just going to get even better and better. I just want him to be active, want him to be looked after, and my way of managing and coaching fighters. I like if they've got potential. I don't want to rush them. I want that potential to be developed and allowed to become, realized, and then we step up, and then we go. And that's what my plans are with Ellis. Dan Howard, he's special. He's been a case of settling him down a little bit, not taking his style, his flash away, but settling him down, punch picking really well, getting that power into his shots. And again, an outstanding performance. Took his time, good fighter. In his fourth fight, 10-2 and 2 he was. Solid, good German. And everything that we did in the gym, he went out there and did it. He listens to everything. He listened to everything that, he's so coachable. And because he's very excitable, and his intention is to knock you out. And we've seen before, he's a little bit too much, so it's a bit too much. And you got to think about when you go in, 10, 12 rounds, you've got to be a little bit smarter, a little bit cuter. And he's getting that. And every sparring session that he has, he's just getting better and better and better. And I said to him, I said, all I want you to do is to go out there and do what you've been doing in sparring. If you do that, then you, with the little 10-ounce gloves on, you're going to look $1 million. Just go out there and do that. Just show everybody, the viewers, the fans, just show them what I see every day in the gym. And he did, and it was outstanding. Listen, 154, he's the best prospect in the country without a doubt. He's a talent. He's only 4 fights in. He's going to be very, very good. And Wasserman, they've got big plans for him. Sam Jones, obviously, his manager, got big plans for him. And I've got all the confidence in him, and he's just going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah, looks a serious talent. The pressure that comes with that, when you've got more national titles than you can even hold at once, there is a pressure that comes with that. He seems quite level-headed through interviews.
Yeah, yes.
Is it easy to keep a fighter in that mentality? Because I can imagine once you hear people ranting and raving about how good you are, how flashy you are, this and that, it might be quite hard to kind of keep the feet on the ground.
So the guys that are in my gym and the fighters that I work with, doesn't matter if it's Bellew, doesn't matter if it's Chisora, doesn't matter if it's Ellis Price or Dan Howard, just coming through. They will all tell you. It's me and Stephen Cairns actually were having a conversation about this, about somebody else. And you have to have a certain mentality to be able to work with me, because I'm not going to give you no bullshit. The world, your promoter, your manager can big. It's their job to big you up and talk a lot of shit. It's my job to tell you the truth. So if you do shit, I'll tell you. But at the same time, when you're doing great, I'll tell you that as well. But there's the balance, there's the realism, and my guys know that when I say that I'm happy, then I'm real. I'm not just fluffing your feathers. It means that I am happy with what you're doing. And I've got to say, the stable that I've got, the young fighters, Hopi Price is the oldest and just turned 24. Dan Howard at 22, Stephen Cairns just turned 22 day before yesterday. Ellis is 21. It's a young stable, but I've got the best talent. I've got the best talent in the country, you know, and they're level-headed. They won't let things get to their head. They don't think there's something that they're not, you know. The good, honest, hard-working professionals, young fighters, but with an old head on the shoulders. But they know that I will not allow them to get ahead of themselves. You know, no matter what the hype ends up being, I'll not allow them to get ahead of themselves. Um, and I think that's, you know, that goes for Dan. Dan's environment is his family, is where he's from. It's very, very down to earth, you know, and so he's had that anyway. So he's not going to get carried away, and you know, we can allow Sam to do some things in terms of how he speaks about his fighters. You know, Wasserman, you know, we can allow that as long as the fights are in line of how I want them to be. Then this kid's going to be, you know, it's going to be special.
Yeah, mate, can't wait. Going to be two very exciting journeys there under your tutelage. I want to talk about the show in Birmingham. I know you was there. I didn't see you on the night. Did you expect to see what we saw in Tyler Denny versus Felix Cash?
I didn't know how it was going to go because I rate Felix Cash very, very highly. I rate his potential very, very highly. He blows hot and cold, so you don't know which Cash you're going to get. Well, I did know he's been out of the ringer a long, long time, and I rate Denny. I rate Tyler Denny. I think I commentated on the fight where he broke out on Sky when he won the title. I think it was. I rate the kid. He's another one. He's not admirable. He's the one that's come through quietly, and now he's on the big stage. He's delivering. You know, but he's had the real fights. He's come through. You know, and he's had a couple of losses, but he's come through. And these kind of fighters are very, very dangerous fighters because they've actually had the real experience. They've not had hand-picked opponents all the way through where nobody's punching back, and then they're in the spotlight. You know, these have had some 50-50 fights along the way, 60-40s, you know, good learning fights. Come unstuck a couple of times. But his attitude and his confidence as he's got onto the big stage is growing and growing. So I knew it was going to be a really, really tough fight. I just didn't know which way it was going to go. And in the fight itself, you saw that Denny was on it. He was really, really on it. And he, you know, it's hard when it's over and done with in 4 or 5 rounds because of a technical decision. It's very, very hard to take much from it in terms of a 12 round when it's a technical decision. But the way the fight was going anyway, you could see that Felix was having to work really hard in the fight. And I thought Denny had his number as it was anyway.
I guess the inactivity will be something that people mention, and I said this to Tyler and almost felt a bit sorry for him because some people I spoke to in the aftermath mentioned the inactivity, and you don't want to take away from a good performance, but 18 months out of the ring, even his fight with previous Felix at Ali Pali wasn't the best performance. The Denzel Bentley win, his best performance was 3 years ago. I guess fighters should perhaps use Felix at the weekend as an example as to why you can't take the sport lightly. You can't take long periods out of the ring like he has.
So I don't know the ins and outs of why Felix has been so inactive. So I can't really pass judgment on his character or his discipline or anything like that. I won't do that. But what I will say is that boxing is a very unforgiving sport. There are things that happen in people's lives. Now I say people's lives because boxers are also people. And so sometimes there are things that happen in their lives that will distract him, that will take him away from the hard grind of boxing, training every day, doing everything right. Because it's real life shit that happens to him, you know? And I've seen that with my own fighters in the past. And it's like you live the best that you can. You are still trying to come to the gym every day the best you can, but it might be a day where through family illness, through loss, whatever, there's a day where you're having to visit a hospital, you're having to go there, you're not getting your rest, you're not being able to eat properly because of time, because you're having to go and see somebody. Things happen in life. But boxing, when it comes down to it as a sport, it doesn't care. And no matter how much you're trying to live the life, unless you're able to, you're going into that fight not fully prepared. you're going to that fight where it quite could come back and bite on the arse, you know. There's been, you know, through and again I say this when it's through no fault of their own. Problems, family problems, you know, life problems. I feel sorry for people like that. I feel sorry for fighters like that. I've had, like I said, Hopi Price has had a horrendous couple of years through things that are out of his control. And in his last fight, won, but he wasn't, you know, it wasn't as what you would want him to be. But that's the catch up because of things going off. And it's just how it is. You have to deal with it. You have to go in there and you have to win still. You have to pull it out. Like he actually looked really good in that fight, but there were little things in there where it was like, oh, well, these are the reasons. But then if you're choosing not to go to the gym, if you're choosing to eat that bit of shit, if you're choosing to not be 100% committed to the sport, then when it catches up on you, then you can't you know you can't feel sorry for yourself anyway, but you can't kind of like point to that and say, oh yeah, that's why. Well, that was your fault, and that was your decisions. You know, we all get to where we're at because of the decisions we make. You know, sometimes things go wrong and it's not your fault. But how did you react to that? Did you just think, oh fuck it, I'm pissed, where's that piece of cake? You know, because that's the wrong decision. Because at the end of the day, that's compound. That's just adding more shit, more negativity into the problem that you've got that can distract you. You know, oh, well, I've bust my hands. Well, what's point? I can't train. I can't fight. I might as well have that kebab. Your decision. But there's those that have real issues who aren't in their hands and aren't their fault, and it does have an impact on fight night, and it's just one of those things. So I don't know what's gone off with Felix or whatever, why the inactivity, but inactivity is a bitch, and it really does have an effect. You know, some fighters feel it might. I think it depends on the style. Sometimes, you know, if you're a reflex fighter and you're sharp, you know, you're a sharpshooter and you're very good defensively. If you're inactive, that might just be a slight difference on what you're able to do. Also, your ranger, you know, some people it doesn't affect. Some people can have time out of the ring, come back, and you're looking, whoa. But also, it depends on the matchup. If it's a 50-50 fight and you're giving these little percentages away, you're handing an advantage away, and you're making it harder for yourself.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I suppose Felix will be back. He's too good of a talent not to. But yeah, brilliant win and a brilliant few years for Tyler Denny. There was also a brilliant little subplot as well. Eddie and Ben face to face for the first time. I can't believe that's the first time they've actually met. I'm astounded that they've never crossed paths. Or I mean, Ben's been even prior to the Boxer and Skydeal. Ben was doing Ultimate Boxer back in 2018-19. I'm shocked that was the first time that they'd actually met.
Different circles, isn't it? Really.
Is it
I'm
though?
not. Yeah, but listen, boxing's a small. It's a small community, but depending on what ocean you're in, you can be completely isolated. You know, and Eddie's in Eddie's world, you know, and Ben's in Ben's world. There you go. It's like when we're saying about Frank and Eddie. Now that's a bigger thing because look at the years. Eddie's been in sport 15 years. Come into Frank's sport, really, and you know his domain, but they still never met, never chat until recently. Ben's a little bit fresher, but he's you know kept himself to himself really. And obviously they'd have met before if fights had happened that have been matched up and things, but they didn't circumstances. But you know, now they've met, and that bridge is kind of like been crossed once. Maybe now it gets crossed a few more times, and we get more fights made. But yeah, it's only good for the sport. You know, you don't have to like people to be in business with people. You don't, you know. At the end of the day, it's the fighters that are getting in the ring and the fighting. The promoters just part the ego if you have to, and just get it. Listen, the worst thing that could have ever happened to anybody in a promoter v promoter standoff and you know this history and not liking each other and shit. The worst thing that could have happened to anybody and this was going forward, is what happened to Eddie on that 5v5. Absolutely smashed. 5-0, 10-0 if you're talking on your points tally, right? Couldn't get any worse, right? Look how he's handled it. Look how Frank's handled it. Bit of banter, you know, always going to be a bit of ribbing, always, but it's all fun, it's all light-hearted, right? And that's as bad as it gets. So what if Eddie got beat by Ben Shalom the other night, or if Ben has the next 2 fights, 3 fights, and loses to Eddie? It doesn't matter, because you've seen what the worst case scenario is that on one night, every one of your fighters get beat. It's happened before, so you're never going to be the first again. So Eddie's kind of like broke that mold, you know? And so there should be no fear going ahead. So get working, get the fights made, get working, you know? It's nothing special anymore. Ben, Eddie, get the fights going, because it's not special anymore. Once Frank and Eddie crossed that bridge and did what they did, regardless how people want to say, "Oh, it only happened because of money," of course, no shit. Doesn't matter. It happened. Look at what a great night we had because it happened. Look at the great nights we've got to look forward to now because it happened once. Now it's going to happen again and again and again. So the same thing can happen with the Ben Shalom and Eddie thing. With why not Oscar De La Hoya and it? I don't know. Well, Oscar's a different planet, but Oscar De La Hoya and Top Rank and Oscar De La Hoya and Eddie, I might grow hair by the time that one happens, but we'll see.
Mate, Eddie will love that. You've managed to put the most positive spin on the 5-0 or 10-0 defeat. He will love it. He should be going around going, "I'm the man who broke the mold." The tactic 10-0 defeat.
But once the shit happens, all you can do is look at the best view of it. Do you know what I mean? You've got to find the best view out of it. Otherwise, your head implodes and that's it. And like I said, that's the positive spin for it.
No, you're right. Although I wouldn't, like you said, count on Eddie and Oscar De La Hoya. I want to talk about Ryan Garcia now. Backdated ban of a year was his punishment. And I know Mauricio Suleiman said this as well. Yes, there's a punishment there, but is there also someone that we need to look at who needs just an arm around him? It's quite a hard talking point because you deserve criticism when you've done what you've done. But
so what we're gonna do? Before the fight, he was acting strange, behavior, this. Then he says that he was actually saying on camera and stuff. People got it on camera that where he was going to say, "I'm going to act crazy and act mentally, you know, disturbed and unwell," to trick him, to fool him, to play the game. So he lied about that. So he was playing the mental health card to win a fight. So he lied about that, but he's telling the truth about the fact they didn't take drugs. They didn't take peds. So he's telling the truth about that. Or is he actually unwell mentally? I thought so at the beginning. I was saying I took a lot of shit because after the fight, because before the fight, I was saying I didn't want the fight to happen because I didn't think he was in the right headspace. And I took a lot of shit for saying that when he won RC, he was playing it, he was acting, you fell for it, this, blah, blah. Well, now what is it? Are we back to where we're saying, oh, we need to look after him because he's mentally unstable? Does that mean, oh, we give him a pass on the cheating shit? You know? No, he's failed 3 tests. 3 tests for Askren, I was told, not 2, 3. Yeah. Ban him. You know, he tried to. I believe he tried to put it on a supplement company and said that it was their shit that was contaminated. They come straight back with proofs that it's not. You know, he's blamed. I think he's blamed even Eddie and Haney or anybody for spiking his shit. He's blaming everybody in the world. You know. But before the fight, he's joking about taking steroids, and he's joking about this. And he's a cheat. You know, he that's how I see it. He's a cheat. So a year ban. Are you having a laugh? Liam Cameron boxed the other night. Got 4 years for when people like talk about traces, a trace of cocaine. Now, listen, I'm not advocating drugs. I don't think anyone should take drugs. But at the end of the day, that was a recreational, and he got 4 years. I'm not saying he shouldn't have got banned for any length of time. I'm not saying that. But he got 4 years. And you're consistently having fighters fail for PEDs, for serious shit, getting 6 months, a year, maybe 2 years, 18 months, backdated, swept on the carpet. Fucking hell, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. I've had Opie Price have an operation on his hand. By the time he's able to fight again, it'll be about 10 months. So it's the same as having an hand injury. You know? And I just... Maurizio coming out and saying that he's just trying to find favour to see that he's compassionate or whatever. You know? Yes, be there for him. Find somebody there to help him. Not a problem. I ain't got anything against that. But you can't come back to boxing until you've served your ban. You're otherwise. So what we're going to say, everybody now that fails a drug test is going to turn around and say, "Oh, it's mental health problems. I wasn't right. You know, I'm going off. I was going off it. I weren't thinking clearly." So what are you going to do? What's that? Diminished responsibility. So you go and decide to kill somebody, but they say, "Oh, it's mental health problems," and they get away with it. What? You know, you can't just give them an out by using that. You know, it's difficult. It's a difficult situation, especially when you're in the outside. You're not in the inside. You don't know the people. You know. But remember, when people like me were saying the fight shouldn't happen because he looks mentally unstable, his own family and everybody around him saying it's all a game. His own family were there looking after him. So if they don't think there's a problem there, then going into a fight, so if there's no mental health issues there that they're worried about, his promoter, his family, his mum, his dad, his brothers, whatever, right? If they're saying that there's no mental health issues there and it's all part of a game to get into his head, and he goes out there and blasts them in, right? And they're all, "See, we told you this, grabbing crotches and shit like that and being all how they are, right?" Then what is it now? All of a sudden, well, hang on a minute. Oh, no, he is. It's because he's not right in head. So yeah, that's what's going on. They said, well, you can't change your mind. Swap and change your mind about it, because then you will know that it was like that beforehand. You know, but there's always an excuse. There's always an excuse. But a year, and it's backdated. I didn't actually know it was backdated. It's a joke, but a year that's nothing.
You were talking about the Liam Cameron situation, actually. I don't know if you saw today that Galal Yafai's opponent, Moises Calero, he's called, who he fought in April last year, has been given a backdated 4-year ban by UKAD after testing positive for cocaine. But in the first year of said backdated period, he fought against Tommy Frank.
What? So he's fought Galal. He failed the test for the Galal fight. When was that?
The Galal Yafai fight was the Joshua versus Franklin undercard. So we're looking at April or May 2023. And he fought Tommy Frank, I believe, in August 2023. During what is the first period of that backdated. Obviously,
so how
is testing, and the testing for UKAD is different, but for the sake of saying we're in the same sport.
It's just that I've said it before, right? We need Mr. Turki Alalshikh to clean up the sport in terms of the drugs side of things. He's doing an amazing job in making these fights happen, and he's putting boxing right back up there, you know. And he is the fan. He's the fan that we all are, and we would all love to do if we had the money. But he's got the money. He's got the finances to make it happen. I also think that he's got the finances to help with the issue that we've got with drug testing and catching because the people that are cheating at the top end have got the science in front of the testers, you know, because there's that much money at their end compared to the money that's being spent on catching them, that the cheaters are in front. you know. And we need something or somebody to look at that and say, "Do you know what? I can make a difference here," and pump some money into catching these people and to making the sport a little bit cleaner, you know.
Yeah.
But it's above my pay grade.